live in today, we have lost track of emotion as healing aspects. Our ancestors knew this, but we've lost it with the new pharmaceutical, chemical, medical paradigm that we have on this planet. We hand our health over to a doctor, and we say, fix me, and he usually does a big checkup, and he gives us a whole lot of pharmaceuticals to take, which totally ignores the fact that we are energetic beings. We have an energy field, an electrical field around our body. We've got 28 energy fields in the body, major energy fields. And those can be knocked out and affected by trauma, stress, anxiety, things like 5G, which we're all aware of, technology that we have in our homes, glyphosate, Roundup, chemicals on our food, in our soil, in our air, and we can go on and on and on with a list of things that are affecting our health, and particularly our children's health. And I think many of us, probably most of you in this room tonight, you wouldn't be here if you weren't interested in these things, are aware that we're going down the wrong road in. So where there's dread disease, cancers, tumors, leukemias, whatever they are, there was blocked energy. It started as blocked energy. So if we keep the energy moving in a constant state of flux and flow, we will never have ill health. Okay, that's the theory behind bioenergy. And one of the adages that Tom puts out there, he said, it's a bit like having your car serviced. So every 7,000 kilometers or whatever it is for your car, you have to send it in to be serviced. They change the oil, they change the air filters, the oil filters, the spark plugs, etc., and your car is good to go for another 7,000 kilometers. But we humans don't do that. We drive these vehicles, our bodies, into the ground until we get sick, and then we, oh, what's happened? I'm ill. So we go to the doctor, we give our authority over to the doctor, and he comes back with pills and medicines and x-rays and blood tests and all that sort of thing. But our ancestors knew thousands of years ago that we just need to stay healthy. We got exercise, we got fresh air, we ate good food, we spent time with our families, we ate together, we laughed together, we communed together. And what do we do now? We're on our phones, we're watching the TV set, we're busy. Most people eat on the run, they don't even sit at a table anymore. We've kind of gone off track with regards to good health and just common sense really on how to stay happy and healthy in the world. So every 6 months or so, one needs to have a bioenergy treatment to get the energy flowing through the energy fields and to make sure that there's no blockages in the body. Okay, so that's pretty much bioenergy in a nutshell. So I taught bioenergy level 1 when I was here in August last year, and I'm teaching bioenergy level 2 this coming weekend, to the existing students. But if there's interest, I will come back and do another level 1 program. It's taught in 3 levels. So in level 3, which will hopefully be a June, July, I'm hoping to come back then, the students can then write their exam, and they qualify with a European diploma from the Hidden Mind Institute, which means that they are able to work anywhere in the world, and they can gain insurance. So insurance in this country and in South Africa is not quite as, it's becoming, but it's not there yet. But if you wanted to work as an energy healer, a therapist in the UK, Europe, and North America, you have to have an accredited certification. Okay. So then the second bow to Tom's group of things that he does is the hidden mind. So he put that together about 15 years after bioenergy. He was doing bioenergy exclusive. Anunnaki complained about the heavy toil of mining gold and declared a mutiny when Enlil came down to southern Africa on a visit. So they had their labor relations problems back in those days. But you can imagine coming from another planet and having to work the mines in southern Africa must have been quite something. Enlil called his father Anu to Earth to sort the dispute out. Anu agreed that the work was too heavy for the Anunnaki. Enlil offered a solution to create a primitive worker from the ape men and women living in these parts. So remember, they weren't Homo sapiens yet, the people that they found living here back 450,000 years ago. He and his half-sister, Nehersak, extracted eggs from the ape women and fertilized them with the sperm of a young astronaut. They replanted the egg into the womb of a female astronaut. Finally, the perfect model was achieved. This was the first Homo sapien. So, as you probably know, just outside South Africa, just outside Johannesburg, is Sterkfontein Caves, where they found Mrs. Pless, that was quite a remarkable find in the world of anthropology. And then they've got the museum where they call it the home of humankind, just down the road. So they claim that was where the first Homo sapien skull was found on the planet. So this just reinforces that this is what happened and how we moved from Neanderthal man to Homo sapien. And it was through colonization from outside beings, outside forces, being the Anunnaki. So more of these workers were created to work in the mines. Sometime later, Enlil wanted workers for Metametosia and took some, conducting further experiments in genetic manipulation on the hybrid Homo sapiens, and using his own sperm, Enlil came up with a new perfect model of Earthling, who had greater intelligence. He acquired the all-important ability to procreate, but not the longevity of the astronauts. The humans were no longer just slaves in the mines and in the fields. They performed all tasks, built houses for the gods, and quickly learned how to cook, dance, and play music for them. With a shortage of women, young Anunnaki took to having sex with the daughters of men, and children were born to them. So this is pretty much how we became hybrids. So humankind, so this might be a bit of a stretch, but what we have today on the planet, when you look around, there's so many different beings. There's people in brown skins, black skins, yellow skins, red skins, etc. And we look different in different parts of the world where we've come from. And it's very much genetic. So I think probably through DNA testing they can probably tell a lot of these things, but I don't think they're quite there yet with the galactic connection to who we really are. In Southern Africa, there is quite a collection of different beings from different tribes as well. If you look at the Matabele people towards the Shona people, towards the Xhosa people in South Africa, they look quite remarkably different. And this is how we came to be. So that drawing that we saw, that picture that we saw earlier of the genetic manipulation, that was Enlil and his wife, or that woman, collecting sperm to be impregnated into the local people to create a slave species for their gold mining and other things that they were doing. So Great Zimbabwe Ruins is another very interesting place because we did an activation there last August on the Lions Gate, actually just behind the conical tower. But the conjecture is that the conical tower is not complete. There's a capstone that's missing, like there's a capstone missing on the Great Pyramid of Giza that's been removed. But this was used to teleport gold off the planet. And the spaceships would come in and pick up that gold and take it back to their planet, because they needed the gold to fix their planet, to fix the problems that they had on their planet. There are many different galactic beings that need the gold that we have on planet Earth, and obviously in Africa is a great place for it. Great Zimbabwe is a multi-dimensional place. There's been many different colonizers of Great Zimbabwe Ruins, and different lineages of people have lived there and moved in there, and I believe are still there. In different dimensions, we can't see them, but they're there. So we had some very amazing experiences there in August last year. This is also interesting. So just above Great Zimbabwe is this huge rocky outcrop. And as you drive around that outcrop, this one here, this being looks like the Great Zimbabwe bird. It looks like a dragon. It looks like a lion. It looks like a seal. It depends on what angle you're looking at it from. It really is quite amazing. And that's definitely connected into the Great Zimbabwe. Somebody has put that there. The Finger of God at Morganstone Mission, which is also just above Great Zimbabwe Ruins, but I think that's more man-made. Okay. So the land of the rocket ships. Southern Africa has been colonized by many northern hemisphere civilizations. The Phoenicians, Arabs, and Portuguese have all left their mark in the shape of buildings, architecture, language, culture, and religion. Some of them are even mentioned in the Holy Scriptures. The old Semitic sailors who were said to bring gold, precious stones, ivory, sandalwood, and peacocks to King Solomon's court from southern Africa. So there is an area of belief that King Solomon's mines are actually in southern Africa. Okay, there's conjecture of many places. There's also conjecture that Zimbabwe was the Garden of Eden, and the Garden of Eden wasn't actually in the Middle East. It was all happening here, which would also support the fact as to why Southern Africa has been suppressed for so long, because of the power that there is in the land here. There's tremendous power here, and they don't want that harnessed by others. It's been kept under wraps by those that run the planet, rule things here. So this is just a whole lot of history. I'm not going to go into the whole thing because I think it's too long-winded and we're running a bit late. So cathedral, and it was our mission to try and get as close as we could to those standing stones. There's a whole long story attached to that one. Where Kerry went off on this mission to get permission from the local headman, Sangoma, whoever, to go close to the stones, because all the people that I met in the area and I asked them, what do you know about Masamiki? All they could say is, we know it's called Masamiki, but we don't know what it is. But we know that the old people used to worship there, but we don't go there anymore. So unfortunately, a lot of this knowledge, this wisdom has died with previous generations. The youngsters don't know, and they're not really interested, which is very sad. So this is the true history of Africa, and to understand more about what these places were and how they were. Unfortunately, in these photographs you can't see, and Julie, I couldn't download your photographs. I was having technical problems again. Julie got close to these monoliths, about January. December. Because she's a hiker and she's super fit. She got much closer than we did. Each of these stones have got faces, quite profound faces. And Julie swore that they smiled at her, which wouldn't surprise me. When I got close to them, I asked for permission to come closer, and they were very welcoming. They were actually delighted that somebody acknowledged them, that they were being seen again, because they've been there and nobody sees them. So amazing. This chap here looks like a sentinel. This looks like his spear and his face. He's got quite a stern face. Very, very amazing place. Powerful. So this was in 2021. We went to Ziwa, stone circles. This is like in the Lowveld in South Africa. Michael Tellinger speaks about the stone circles. He's written books about it. He's become quite famous. There's all these stone circles, kilometers, hundreds of kilometers of them, and nobody understands what they are and why they built them. They brought the stone from miles away, tons and tons of stone, and built these circles that somebody said, oh, well, they're for kraals, for putting the animals in. But any goat could easily jump out of that circle. It's not very high. Michael Tellinger's conjecture is that they are there to create power. They're somehow generating batteries, yeah. But something's been taken out of them. They're not complete. It's like they've been tampered with, or we don't understand exactly how to make them work.
It's sound resonance as well, the vibration from the place.
But what causes the sound? What creates the sound?
I think they're on high-powered sites, so you get the earth vibration coming through, and then the stone itself.
Well, it would be fabulous if we could figure this out, because we wouldn't need
Yeah.
the power corporations that we rely on. So it's actually a museum. There wasn't much in the museum to see the usual general archaeological, anthropological thing, and not really in line with what's going on. This is Adam's calendar in a place called Kaapsehoop in just on the escarpment above the area, just talking about where Michael Tellinger has all these stone circles, hundreds of kilometers of them. This is a monolithic site or megalithic site with standing stones. It is a calendar, so it's about telling time, telling where we are, you know, what year we're in, etc. It's quite complex to understand how they read that place. This here is very interesting. This tree, underneath this tree, is a grave. And Michael Tellinger got some people to come in with some sort of X-ray camera to X-ray, because the grave is very long. It's about 12, 14 feet long. And they were able to see through the ground that there is actually a skeleton of an Anunnaki male, similar to the man that you saw in the Diana's Vow picture. And he was revered by the local people as a god. Baba Krida Mutwa, who's probably the most profound shaman, or was the most profound shaman on the African continent until he passed away 2 years ago, made his vows of initiation here at Adam's calendar. Okay, so it's a very powerful site. We did an activation there, and we opened a portal, a stargate actually, which freed a lot of the energy that was trapped in that area, nefarious energy. This is Baba Krida Mutwa in July 2019, just before he passed. He was the most profound man. Zulu Sangoma, he was actually Zulu Xhosa, he wasn't pure Zulu, but he was initiated into Zulu shamanism. And he broke silence in the early 70s of all the vows that he had taken when he became a Sangoma, and started writing books and telling people about the belief systems in Africa and what all these things meant, and the connection between our galactic brothers and sisters, the star people, and who we were, who we are, and how things came about here. He spoke about the white lions, and that they would be incarnating, they would be bringing the energy for the new Aquarian age, very significant beings. He spoke about the Niletic meridian running down, the river of gold running down through Africa, the 31 degrees east, and runs through Harare, that Niletic meridian, going from the pyramids of Giza all the way down through Harare out through the Timbavati, where the white lions incarnated, and coming out through Phoenix in Durban into the Indian Ocean. It also goes up to the Ukraine, which is quite interesting if you go north, and travels up through the Ukraine to the North Pole. It is a powerhouse, and the frequencies along that river going through places like Lake Victoria, the Great Rift Valley, etc. We're still to find out what exactly the significance of all of that is, but it goes through some amazing areas of Africa that have been suppressed. So much of the information that Baba gave to people like David Icke and many others that came here, Michael Tellinger, Linda Tucker, etc., is what they've based their studies on of Africa. And his personal encounters with extraterrestrials. Soon after his initiation as a St. Gormod Adams calendar, his master sent him to Inyanga, here in the Eastern Highlands, and he was only in his early 20s then, to do further training. And he was abducted by aliens there, and they did the most abhorrent, painful experiments on him, that he always walked with a limp. One leg was shorter than the other because of that. But it was also part of his learning. Rhodes Memorial activation, we did at Devil's Peak in Cape Town in the Equinox 2019. In that activation, we opened a portal at Devil's Peak under our feet, which was connected through to the mining of gold and diamonds in Africa, and it was particularly connected to Kimberley and the pain and suffering that had been created because of that, the amount of people that had lost their lives, the abhorrent conditions that people worked in these mines, and you know, there was nobody looking after human rights or anything back in those days. And people like Cecil John Rhodes, the British colonialists, etc., profited off all of that. Most of the profits from that were taken back to England, America, wherever, and Africa did not benefit from that. So that actually started a group that we formed to do healing for Africa. We met every Saturday night for 2 years during COVID lockdown, doing activations. There was a group from all over the world to work on situations in Africa that needed to be corrected. Healing of the animals, of the gold and diamond mining, so many other things. In 2019, we went to Rhodes Inyanga Hotel, and we did an activation there as well. Another portal opened up and released a lot of Anunnaki, a lot of nefarious beings under the ground, animals, hybrid animals looking like all sorts of weird things, were taken off the planet. So Inyanga, as most of you know, has a reputation for being a reptilian base, and many people have disappeared there, many people have been hijacked. Coral Baba Credo was experimented on, etc. So that connects into that nefarious connection with Devil's Peak And I saw Rhodes's body being taken off the planet there. So although Rhodes is supposed to be buried in Metopus, he was definitely there in Inyanga, the body. So he's gone, he's off the planet. No more affecting the energy of this planet. This was a solstice ceremony activation that man was profound. I've never seen anything like this before. So I didn't have the other photo there. As things heated up, and just before the rainbow dragon came in, and that was very tangible, I saw that man transforming into a lion. So one minute he was there in his physical, and the next there was a lion there for 30 seconds or so, and then he moved back into his physical, and then he was a lion. And I wasn't the only one, many of us saw it. These lion shaman are, we think of these people, these Bushmen, as being primitive people. In many ways, they probably were far more advanced than we are, because they're connected to nature. They're connected to the nature spirits. They're connected to the animals. And they can jump timelines. They can shift into different forms. Quite amazing. Can't explain it though. So, like elephants and whales, which are very special on this planet, baobab trees are incredibly special. Ancient beings. And if you connect to them, if you stop and put your arms around them and give them a hug and talk to them, they talk back. They really do have personality. They are just amazing. Very wise. And ancient indigenous people used these places for worship, for gatherings, for celebrations, and often they are activated with that energy. So this is Bridal Falls in Chimanimani, very special place, and lots of elemental beings, spirits, fairies, gnomes. Oh dear, we lost it again. I just wanted to bring to your attention, just very quickly to end off, that is the next step, is our connection to the alien races. It's not coming up here. Our next step in our evolution is to understand that we are galactic beings, and our brothers and sisters, we're going to have connection with them, physical connection, to be able to see them, to experience their spaceships, to understand that not all of them are nefarious and we don't have anything to fear. They've been here for a very long time, assisting us to free us from the slavery system that we've been trapped in. So there's been a spiritual war happening in the ethers, and we're in the final phase of that spiritual war. Things are changing rapidly, and please God, we're going to be moving into a very much better phase very soon. And Zimbabwe, I believe, is going to go through a massive revival. It's going to be a wonderful, abundant time coming to this country and to this land, as it deserves to be, as it's letting go of its slave masters that have kept it. So what I just wanted to quickly tell you is that part of the reason that I've come, well, I've obviously come to teach, but next week is going to be a powerhouse, as most of you probably know. We have the equinox, the 20th, 21st, which is it's going to be very, very powerful this time, so keep your heads down. If you're feeling very tired, if you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling irritable, whatever, just let it flow. The 22nd of March, a portal is opening called Heaven's Cross, and this was channeled from Saint Germain, that this portal is like a crack in the veil, but no, more than veil. It's like, I see it as like the matrix that we've been trapped in on this planet, and that crack is going to be opened up to allow us to access higher dimensions, because we haven't been able to for all this time, and for the beloveds to be able to connect more deeply with us. But I was also told that this will herald the exit of many of those, the angelics, the ascended masters, the beings of light that have been here helping us. They are going to exit through that portal. They're going home now. They're finished. Their work is over, and we're on our own. So it's very exciting, but it's also a little bit worrying. Are we going to be able to handle this one? And then on the 23rd of March, Pluto is going to be moving into Aquarius, and Pluto is our slowest moving planet. It will change signs on the 23rd of March for the first time in 248 years. So it's very significant. And it will remain there for 20 years until 2044. Arguably the strongest ruler in the world, money, so we're all governed by money, there's no escaping it, was forced to change because of Pluto 248 years ago. So it's going to come in for, I think it's 3 months, it's going to go out, and then at the end of the year it's going to come in again, and then it's going to stay there for 20 years. So this year is going to be a little bit of a roller coaster with all these things happening, but there's massive change coming. And they're saying that by the end of May, we won't recognize ourselves, the world we live in, everything will have changed. So I say bring it on. It's time now. We've had enough. It's time for us to move into the new. So let's pull that through. Let's put the intention in that that's what's actually going to happen. We're setting ourselves free now. All right. Thank you so much for coming this evening. Thank you for listening. And I hope you found it interesting. And if anybody